been 2 years since I seen home. 2 years.
We will begin training to go to war.
This is not dog company. This is easy company. The first and finest company in this regiment.
It's Normandy.
Everything will be fine.
Scared. We're all scared.
What made you decide to join the paratroopers?
I want to fight with the best, sir.
Man, it's been a long war. It's been a tough war. You fought bravely, proudly for your country.
Fucking war.
Hi, welcome to Fanboy and the Snob. My name is Christopher, and this is Chadwick. And today, or over the past couple months, I've been making Chad watch Band of Brothers. We hit the halfway point, and I figure, fuck it, let's record this motherfucker's thoughts. Chad, how do you feel about World War II?
It is a bloody mess.
Yeah, so what do you think of Easy Company's journey? What do you think of the show? All right, regardless of context, what do you think about the writing, the characters, the shoot? What do you think about this series?
Well, the first episode does a great job in putting you in the situation of the characters, letting you know everybody, like all of the main characters, like
Personalities. You get to know everyone.
and everything. Letting them know the bonds they have with winners and everything. And Ross does such a good job of playing an asshole.
He's
the thing is, he's an unknowing asshole.
Lieutenant Sobel.
Yeah, like I feel like he didn't think he was as
Bad.
shitty.
No, he thought he was doing
until
good.
he started getting a little cocky and started being like,
until he started getting made fun of by his subordinates.
Yeah, and then he tried court-martialing winners and everything.
And then all the NCOs went, well, if winners goes, we go.
Yeah. And it made the higher-ups be like, listen.
Fuck, we need to put winners in charge.
And Ross, you're too good for this
You're just too good. So we're going to give you a teaching job way over there.
And he knew, and the last thing we saw Ross see was winners watching him go.
Yeah.
And that was great.
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, this show is fucking heavy, man.
We just watched
5.
We just watched episode 5, so that's the freshest in our mind, which is when Winters is taken out of command. But I want to talk about one episode in particular.
The German?
Blythe. Carentan, the boy who goes blind and then regains his... How good was that fucking episode?
Yeah. It's like, was it stress related? Yeah.
It's
I forget what they call it when you
hysterical blindness.
Yeah.
When you see something your brain cannot comprehend, so you go blind to protect your mental stability.
It's fucking crazy the human body can do stuff like that.
Whoa, you're seeing crazy shit. Blind.
It doesn't happen with everybody though. It's weird. Like,
well, that's what that episode was about, is you're looking at people like Garnier and fucking, like, remember when they're just like, check out how many watches I have, and Blythe's like, what? And he's like, I got each person I killed I'm wearing, and Blythe is like, I haven't killed anyone. I slept during the I was so scared I slept. And then Winters, when he's in the hospital with the hysterical blindness, and he's like, you did good, buddy, you did okay. And he's like, sir, I can see, you know. Like, fuck,
certain people just need that little push.
What about Bull getting left behind in Operation Market Garden, where he defends the French family and stuff like that?
He's the bigger guy with the,
and he always has a cigar in his mouth.
He's awesome. I love that actor. He's one of the actors that you see him in a lot of stuff. You just don't remember his name, but he always does a great job.
Oh shit, I'm forgetting his name. The guy with the white hair. Yeah,
he's always in everything.
Just watching a movie and it's like, oh.
I want to talk about the episode. It was episode 1 where you get introduced to it.
Every character?
No, where the guy meets the German and he gets his gun. He's like,
oh, that's episode 2.
In 1, he sees the gun, and then in episode 2 is when
with the prisoners of war.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Where are you from?"
So the cool thing about this is episode 1, they're going in. They have like the neutral zone where they see the German army and the American,
and they see some German POWs.
So what's the gun called?
Luger.
So he sees a Luger, and the guy's like, oh, I always wanted to see one of these. Can I see it? And the German's like, sure. And he sees it and he goes to walk off with it. And he's like, oh, mate, what are you doing?
Yeah, the Brit. No, you're talking about, I thought you were talking about the Lieutenant Spears.
No, they'll just, I forget the character's name, but he's just like, he creates the bomb with the German character.
No,
where you get to see the Luger.
You're thinking of two different characters and you're combining them into one. There is the guy who's constantly looking for the Luger who accidentally shoots himself and dies. Do you remember that? Yeah, and they like try to. Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah.
No, but
the
one you're talking about is when the guy Scott Grimes, I forget his character's name, is walking by the Germans and he's like, "Oh, how you doing, you fucking Germans? Where you from? Dusseldorf? Where you from?" The guy goes, "Fucking 34th Street, Philly." No fucking way. And they sit down and they have like a heart to heart where it's like, dude, we grew up like 3 houses away from each other. We all know the same people. Why are you fighting for the Germans? Oh, well, I'm German. I responded to the call of the fatherland. And now I'm captured. And he's like, oh, well, hey, I'll see you after the war. At least you're out. I'll get through it. We'll fucking link up. We'll hang out. That's fine. And then Lieutenant fucking Spears walks up. And all we see is Scott Grimes, like the back of his head, and you just hear a Tommy gun go off. You see Scott turn around and like panic, and we don't know what happened.
So those are different characters. The guy that saw the gun and was like,
yeah, that was his name begins with a P. I'm forgetting his name. There's a lot of characters.
The problem is me and Chris watch a show. We're already after we film, so we're already.
This is like my 5th or 6th rewatch.
Yeah, and this is the most sober we've watched it.
Yeah, and my problem is every time I watch it, I get really depressed and sad.
Well, it's a fucking heavy show, man.
But at the same time,
seeing somebody that like you could have been friends with in your hometown.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's just
wearing gray and you're wearing green.
So what the fuck does all it mean, man?
Nothing. War, what is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Unless they have oil.
Say it again. I don't know. Just the actors in the show are great. The Winters guy.
Seriously, the guy who plays Lieutenant Winters, is fucking amazing. When he shoots that boy.
Oh God. Let's talk about that. There's a scene.
It's episode 5.
It's before he gets taken off.
And he promoted. So what did you understand the weight of what he did?
Yeah, he
took 20 guys.
He is upset because 24 are wounded, but he took out
like 500.
Yeah. They won like miraculously.
Like they were outnumbered 5-1, and because of Winter's leadership, they fucking and they fought for 3 days straight.
Yeah, because it starts off with Winter's running forward. Yeah, he throws the red smoke bomb thing, right?
And it doesn't go off right away.
So Winter's just running, and the guys get nervous. They go, and they're like, no, wait.
Wait.
And the smoke goes, they run.
But they're like 5 paces behind him.
Causes distraction. So he's up there.
He's on the top of the hill.
He gets the lead. So he sees one lone soldier on the ground.
Looks up at him, smiles, realizes that he's about to die, and then kind of gives him a look like, don't. And pop, boom, 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 boom. And then he drops to a knee and really starts aiming.
Just the fact that once he got that one kill, he just immediately
turned his brain off.
Murder mode.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could do that.
That's what my little brother was explaining to me. He was like, me as a person, no, I couldn't kill anyone, but I was trained to kill. You know what I mean? So it's just like you shut your brain off and you just remember the guy who runs up with the machine gun, just plants and just.
Well, the scary thing is, like, you see that kid. There's a situation where
that look on his face.
If you don't kill that kid, as soon as you turn your back, he was gonna shoot you.
Are you sure though?
You don't know.
Exactly.
But are you gonna take that chance?
Exactly. And now you have to live with that for the rest of your fucking life.
War is a bunch of what ifs, man.
And that's the worst. That's why when like Vietnam vets came back and like hippies were spitting on them, I was like, you don't get it, dude. You're not at that point in the war. You're not fighting for your nation. You're fighting.
Especially they didn't choose to go there, man.
No, most of them were drafted. And then they come back and people are fucking throwing bottles at the hippies with long hair and beards, being like, my dad was rich enough to buy me out of the draft, you fucking Nazi. And it's like, what? That's why the Forrest Gump scene where Forrest Gump goes up and talks on the mic, but it's muted and you don't get to hear what Forrest Gump says, but all the hippies like, And like, oh. And I guarantee he was like, none of us asked to be there. We're on your side, and you come back and you spit on us.
So I feel like that is the closest to what we're gonna have now if there's a war like actually like that.
No, proxy wars forever, bro. Ukraine, Taiwan. That's where 1984. Eurasia's always been on America's side. No, Pacifica's on America's side. Like it doesn't matter. Proxy wars. It doesn't matter. It's over. We'll never have something like this.
Now,
where fucking heroes are heroes.
How do you feel about we're gonna get to the intros of each episode in a sec, but how do you feel like the pacing of the episodes? How they
perfect,
like frame everything?
Perfect.
Like the chapters.
There's like 1 or 2 episodes that I don't want to say I don't like, but I feel like they don't fit in. But there's one episode above all else that is the greatest, and it's episode 6.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it yet. It's from the point of view of the medic during the Battle of the Bulge. I don't know if you know any history about the Battle of the Bulge, but it's like the Americans
I heard it was pretty tough.
No winter gear, no ammo, no food. And this medic is just running from trench to trench, trying to keep everyone together while they're getting struck with artillery.
That's why I give a lot of props to women back then.
They're on this episode goes into there's a French nurse because the doctor has to run from the back to the front. You know what I mean? Constantly with supplies.
Because you had the field medics that were generally men, and you had the tent medics that were all the women and stuff.
So he befriends a woman, and then some stuff happens.
It was rough, man.
And the cool thing about Band of Brothers is it's a lot of stories are embellished, but the stories that are true, you're like, that's totally fake. And then you read about it and you're like, Jesus Christ, Spears ran across enemy lines full speed while everyone was shooting at him. And you hear stories from the German point of view where they're like, yeah, this American just fucking hopped. And we were like, what? It's fucking insane.
We were built differently back then.
Well, that's why the 2 world wars happened, to kill all the real men.
Even the real women.
Yeah.
You can talk about feminism and everything, but they fucking booted up and they took charge back then. All the men went to war, so there's
a lot of stories, unfortunately, in World War I where it's like a Mulan situation, but the soldiers go, you're a chick, and then they just rape her. Because
foreign.
No, the French are like, wait a minute, and they rape her because you've been on the front line for 3 years. That's my main thing about don't put women on the front line, because you get that one dude who's been there for 4 years who's completely detached from society. Don't put her next to him. You know what I mean?
I'm talking about more of them in the medic sense, and them when all the men were
Florence
gone.
Nightingale.
They took initiative to keep.
We can do it.
Yeah, to keep the fucking engineering and
they ran the
going.
factories.
They ran everything.
But that's the same thing with Spartan women's, where the Spartan men would go out to fight, and the Spartan women were in charge of defending Sparta.
See, the biggest problem we have now in our world is people aren't looking at these men and women. They're looking at what they think happened.
Yeah, revisionist history.
The thing is, everybody's so offended by old history, but
it is what it is.
You learn from our past mistakes. You learn from history. If you don't want to take the history, then you're not going to learn. You're just going to keep repeating it.
Those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it.
And that's where we're going.
We're going into a weird crypto-fascist, communist. We're tearing down statues and putting up do you see that weird podcast stuff? Back to Band of Brothers. Did you see the episode where Scott Grimes, it's the Blythe episode. Remember when he goes to the laundromat and the lady's like, hey, so-and-so didn't get their clothes.
Oh,
and
the jacket.
Yeah, you see him and he winds up getting 10 or 15 people's. He's like, no, I'll pay, it's fine. And you see him breaking down.
Yeah, because there was the situations where they find out the brother died, and he's like,
just before he jumped into D-Day.
I wouldn't have told him.
No, the letter was given to the wrong person.
No, I know, but he gave the letter. I wouldn't have.
I would have.
Because he got advice, and he's like, should we give it to him? And he's like,
well, when are you going to give it to him? When we're in Normandy?
After.
After when, though? They're in for 2 years, and Garnier's still fighting. When do you give him the letter?
just after. You don't have an answer for that, but I'm not going to give it to him before he's going to jump out of a plane. And
I'd pull him aside and I go, listen, dude, read this. I got your back.
I would go up to be like, there's something I'm going to tell you once this is all over and you can't get
Oh,
back.
yeah. Just fucking psych him the fuck out before.
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't.
I'd tell him, listen, buddy, some heavy shit. I'm here.
See, they got lucky because at that point, their raid got canceled because of the weather and everything.
But still, remember Garnier when he jumped in and they're in the covered bridge and he's just shooting too much where Winters has to be like, fucking stop. And he's like, I don't care.
That's why I wouldn't tell him.
I would tell him, but I'd be like, listen, buddy, I'm your brother now. We're in this to fucking together, you know?
Not everybody handles it like that, man.
I understand.
Me and you in that situation, we'd probably handle it.
Fucking bunker down.
Yeah, but
Bros for life.
you can't do that for certain people, man.
I don't know.
It's brutal. It's like,
all right, so let's say we're in the 101st Airborne. We dropped into Normandy. We survived. We're at episode 5. What would you want to like? What would you be? Where would you see yourself? Like, doing like what job would you be doing? How do you think you'd be doing?
Well, my personality and your personality is we have an obsession of being in the front.
Yeah, we want to. I'd rather it be me than them.
So we would always be pushing ourselves to be in the front line.
But
we're not just trying to like jerk ourselves
no,
off.
we're not trying to be tough.
It's more of an obsession.
I want to do good. Thing. I want to do good, and I want to make sure that no one else is getting hurt.
Yeah.
And I guarantee we'd be a machine gun crew. So you'd carry the gun, I'd carry the ammo.
I'd be carrying the ammo, you'd be shooting, I'd be supplying and denying.
You'd have that. Did you see the grease gun? Yeah, that is what you'd have. And I'd try to be frontline as often as possible.
Yeah. It's like Winters. The last thing you see Winters in episode 5 is
him realizing he's not in control of his boys no more.
So he just trucks forward and walks off, and that the episode ends, and it's like, shit, man, this is gonna be
and then
crazy.
You get interviews with all the guys who survived it, talking about leadership and how awesome Winters was, how he was.
Do you like how they had the?
Yes, I love the interviews with the old men. It's like
it hypes you up for the episode. Because
not hypes up in the sense that you get excited, but it just gets you ready.
Yeah,
emotionally when they're talking
about
like,
you, I should say.
It was the coldest winter I ever felt, and you're looking at like an 86-year-old man. You're like, oh shit, this episode's gonna suck, you know? Or when they're all talking about Moose Heidegger and him getting shot and just being like,
let's talk about the relationship between Winters and his other guy.
VAT 69. Let's call him that.
Yeah, he was in Super 8 and
the drunk.
Yeah, he has his vices.
He's got his vice. No, but he is a drunk.
Yeah, he is totally desensitized towards killing and everything. Where Winters is still like he has that little grip of humanity in him.
Well, it's the guy with the black hair that's the alcoholic is not a desk jockey because he did lead troops, but he went straight to strategy.
Yeah,
like he climbed that rank, whereas Winters was doing the soldiering. He became and now they introduce Winters into his life, and he's like, bro, you don't need to type a novel.
Yeah,
you know.
Where Winters is like, I'm giving everybody.
I'm going to tell you exactly how it went down.
It's more of a respect thing. Like they gave their lives. I'm not going to fuck it.
But the guy with the black hair isn't doing it intentionally. He's just been there forever. Where he's just like,
it's like a grizzled cop. He's like, it's just
what
going,
you do.
Keep going. If you dwell on it, you're gonna fucking bring yourself down. And...
Which is that scene with Winters in the subway, where he's just staring blankly, like replaying him killing.
Then they get to the end of the line, and the French conductor's like,
"Child, it was a child."
Yeah, the child. He's like, and it's the same child he looked at when he remembered the child he killed.
And the best part is they don't even dub the French because you know exactly what he's saying. Like, "Hey, Mister, are you okay? The train ride's over. You can leave now." Yeah,
and it's all about facial expressions, and you wonder.
Winters is just like bloodshot eyes staring into the distance, unblinking.
And you wonder, like the kid was making eye contact with him the whole time, and what are the chances he's the last stop? Like, was the kid like?
No, the kid was sitting there looking at this guy trying to liberate my country, and seeing him like borderline about to cry, being like, I need to do something nice for this guy.
Yeah, and he stayed with him the whole time, just kept smiling at him and everything.
Like, remember when Winters was at the tea shop, like reading the news,
Mhm.
drinking tea, and he was hearing like these new recruits, like, I'm gonna go over there and fuck shit up. And Winters had to like get up and walk away because he was like, yeah, you don't.
What's the problem with war nowadays? Everybody's so hype on killing people.
I know it's
just
the
like,
exact opposite. The Americans lost their will to fight. That's why the world's collapsing.
I'm still looking more in Afghanistan times.
That's well, because that war was for nothing.
Yeah, but how many people are hyped to go and just
Because 9/11, but then once we all figured out 9/11 was fake, what's the fucking point? Like, we had to stop Hitler.
fake to the point where Iraq had no
Point. Yeah, we should have invaded.
it happened.
We should have, yes, not obviously 9/11 happened. Fucking 3,600 people died. Like, I'm not debating that.
Not even counting people who died of cancer from the fucking
It's close to 1 million, probably, let's be honest. But Band of Brothers. All right, so World War II, me and you were a machine gun nest. How long do you think we survive?
I don't know what I would do if you died.
Yeah.
It's what I keep thinking about.
While watching.
Mm.
Yeah. It'd be
I
brutal.
feel like we would always be back to back. We'd be covering each other.
Yeah,
So
well,
I feel
we're the
like-
machine gun nest.
Well, the thing is, like, well, Winters. Remember when white hair guy and Winters were talking? He's like, "You were gambling with them.
Don't
Don't
form
gamble."
connections.
And he's like, "I
Well-
need to let them know I'm here for them. I need to build a connection."
But
for
that's
them.
the problem, is like you form a connection, and then you get really emotional when they die.
Yeah, but
Winners had the perfect balance.
yeah, but the other guy had a good point though. Like, you need to let these guys
But
know.
what did winners counter with? If you beat them, they'll resent you.
I don't know. I feel like in that situation.
Well, you don't want to be a Lieutenant Dyke. What do you mean they're low on ammunition? And Winters is like,
Where I feel like white hair guy had a good balance. It's like, you need to let them know you're gonna be there. You're gonna be
But
there to
look how
protect
that-
them.
put white-haired guy.
It's all about your perspective. Like, he thought he was more than he was. I feel like.
No, he formed an emotional bond. Seats. Winters was like paternal. He was like sibling. You know what I mean? You need to have, if you're going to lead men into combat, you need to look at them as expendable, as horrible as that sounds. Whereas he was looking at them as brother, you know?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say Winters thought they were expendable.
No, he didn't think that's why he was the best. He did everything in his. Remember the mission where they do the sneaking mission across the river,
Mm.
and then one guy blows himself up with a grenade. But Winters is like, "Hey, you guys did good. They want you to go out tomorrow, so I'm gonna write a report that you went out tomorrow and everything was nothing happened. You know, like
Yeah.
that's the way you gotta lead.
You need to be able to keep your head focused.
Whereas fucking Bill Buck, that's his name. Buck couldn't.
It's scary, man. Like, you think you could be prepared for something, and all of a sudden, bam, something
Explosion.
happens, and your mind breaks.
What about the friendly fire?
Moose?
Well, yeah, Moose gets lit the fuck up.
Yeah, the guy who replaced Winters, him and another guy were walking.
Him and Winters are walking, and Winters is explaining how the unit works. And then a guy on patrol yells, "Halt!" Douche, 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 douche. And he knee, hip, chest, shoulder,
And the squibs on that were great.
doo, 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 and he falls down. And Winters is like, "Fuck! Go get a medic!" And the guy's like, "I'm sorry." And Winters goes, "Go get a medic." You know, like. And they say
Muzzle-
Moose survived.
The muzzle flares, the squibs, and everything in the show are great.
Yeah.
Just that one scene where we just see the pop, 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 pop. That must have hurt like fuck. for
Yeah,
that
it went
actor.
from the knee to the, up.
And the timing, like, it's so hard to do that. You're just sitting there like, please work, please work.
You have to time the muzzle flare with the squib.
Yeah.
Because it was a solid shot. It wasn't like they showed you the gun, then they showed you the squib. It was one shot. You saw the muzzle flare at the same time as the squib. So they had an egg beater or an egg timer on.
And this is also one of the situation where we praise the muzzle flares in the show
Yeah.
because they're good.
So-
We've become obsessed with muzzle flares.
Final thoughts on the first 5 episodes.
Don't take 3 months to watch it.
Yeah. That's not our fault.
It's not. I've rewatched episodes.
Good. So have I.
Because like we watch it when we're drunk and we're like, it deserves more respect. than that.
Yeah.
And I think I've done good at remembering a lot of it.
You actually were pretty
Yeah.
solid. My
Yeah.
problem is I'm trying not to say episodes that you haven't seen.
Well, the problem is when you've seen the whole show, you're trying to.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, where I've like seen the show like 5 or 6 times, and I'm like, but do you remember when Spears? Never mind. You know what I mean? Like, fuck.
But yeah.
Also, it's historical, so I've like read about the Battle of Carentan, so
Yeah.
I get it.
But stay tuned for part 2 of
Yeah,
Band of Brothers.
when we finish the final 5.
And we'll let you know if the series ends up on a.
We'll let you know if it's good.
You'll get our reaction.
Oh, the greatest show ever made. Yeah, we'll let you know if it's good.